He is weaker. He can't travel to India. He still cries for my mother. And if you have elderly parents, you know how what the pain is to see your parent cry for the loss of their life partner. They were so close that they had adjoining offices and they performed surgery together. Patients were so lucky that they got two doctors with such tremendous skill working together to save their lives. He used to say that they see each other more at the hospital, or as much at the hospital as they used to see each other at home. We pray that we will see justice in his lifetime, because he's much older now. My brother Sanjay, a businessman in Vancouver, Canada, has devoted the past 21 years of his life to this. He's endured so much as he's persevered in seeking justice. I, as his sister, feel almost as though his life has stopped. Never married, he never had children. His health has suffered in ways I can't even recount. But he comes every year, several times a year, seeking justice. The only time he didn't come was during lockdown, when the courts were closed and he couldn't travel. For my younger sister, Seema, who's an artist and an educator, who was married just 2 weeks before Mom's murder. She was on her honeymoon when my mother was murdered. And for me, the pain of losing a mother this way and seeing our children grow up without a grandmother is almost impossible to bear. My mother was one of 7 siblings, 3 brothers and 4 sisters. In August 2003, just 2 weeks after my sister's wedding, she came to India to visit her ailing brother, elder brother Suresh, and he was suffering from kidney failure. He couldn't come to Canada to perform the Ghat ceremony, and my mother was very worried about his health. So she came to see him, to share some happy moments with him, to create some happy memories, maybe the last ones, as his health was failing. She hoped also that she could convince her elder brother Suresh and the middle brother Subhash, who was living in Canada, to finally give the youngest brother, Shekhar, who lives in Los Angeles, his share of their father's property. She advised Suresh to solve the problem while he was alive, and not to leave it hanging over the next generation. She reminded them that their father's wishes were well known, and that he had wanted the brothers, his sons, their brothers, to each get their share. Instead, on the very last night, before she was due to return home, she was brutally murdered by multiple assailants. There were over 20 points of injury. They beat her, they kicked her, they stabbed her. The assault went on for several minutes. It was not a quick end. She fought for her life. And when all the beating was not enough, they crushed her skull with a granite baseboard. Even seasoned medical examiners were shocked and horrified by the brutality of this attack. My mother was only 62. This all happened in her ancestral home, in Suresh's residence, on the 14th floor of the Sudhakar building in the upscale Malabar Hill neighborhood. And I remember Mumbaikars were shocked that this could happen to a senior citizen in such a posh area. And I'm a professor of law and in America, and I remember when I got the news, it was just the first week of the semester, and we flew immediately. We arrived just 2 days after the murder, and police told us that the murder would be solved quickly. I had such hope. I believed them, but instead, despite one early arrest, the case languished. It had to be transferred to DCBCD in late 2004, more than a year after the murder. When Inspector Hargade took up the case, he had to start so many things over again. It was his hard work that led to arrests in early 2005 of Pradeep Parab, Pawan Kumar Goenka, Manohar Shinde, and Narendra Goel. The naming of my mother's own two brothers, Suresh and Subhash, as the accused who planned the whole thing over the property. And as much as we were glad and grateful that the case has been cracked, we wished it would not be her two brothers. Those people I used to call Mama T, who were the culprits. But we don't doubt the police or their hard work, and the physical evidence and the statements of the accused, especially the statement of the accused who turned approver, this is shown to be the truth. Even with the confession by one of the assailants, this did not bring us to trial. Over 14 years, Special Public Prosecutor Raja Kakre stewarded the case, but even he could not get us to trial. We have appeared each and every time the court has required us. My brother and my family together have traveled to India over 100 times. We've literally crossed 7 seas to be here every time, hoping. In these years, 2 accused have died. Several witnesses have died. And we fear sometimes that justice will never come. We fear that the hard work of the police will not yield success. But we keep coming. Because for us, justice for our mother is the most important thing. We don't know what forces have been involved in delaying the case to this point. But we have high hopes that now that the trial has started, justice will be done. I've written a letter to the Chief Minister of Fadnevis, who is also the Law Minister, asking for his help. Now that the trial has started, can he please help us to ensure that justice is done? My mother was very loved. Like I said, I wish she could have met her. She would have been a light in our lives too. She had tens of thousands of patients that she cared for. And she was loved by everyone. Over the years, we've heard from many, many people who loved and admired her. They are shocked to hear that we are only starting the trial now. They're dismayed to hear that despite overwhelming evidence, forensic evidence, physical evidence, and a confession, we have not obtained justice. India's reputation has suffered. They think that India must be a lawless place.